The country the United States bombed the most wasn't even at war with the
Operation Barrel Roll. It was a U.S. strategic bombing, per se, of Laos during the height of the Vietnam War. To simplify this, right, as you can see, during the height of the Vietnam War, specifically around 1968 to early 1973, the U.S. was losing traction all around, and especially within the territorial boundaries within Vietnam, specifically with the North Vietnamese. Specifically, well, partly due because of the way how the Viet Cong was able to maneuver and outpace one of the most fighting, one of the most advanced fighting forces on the entire planet, simply because they used guerrilla warfare at the time. So by the time Nixon came into power in 1969, and realizing the situation at hand, due in part of U.S. casualties, Nixon, along with his evil counterpart Henry Kissinger, collaborated together and decided, and along that coincided with the Pentagon at the time, to kind of disperse and destroy the supply line of the Viet Cong all around within Vietnam, and specifically the countries nearby around them, because they assumed that the countries next to Vietnam were aiding and abetting the North Vietnamese during the war. Hence, for 4 years, well, it wasn't really 4 years under the Nixon administration. It really started under Johnson. Well, from 1964 to 1973, the U.S. bombed the shit out of Laos and Cambodia, countries that weren't hostile towards the United States, nor did it went to war with them, even though that the U.S. was at war with Vietnam at the time. So in a way, it was a big flop on the behest of the U.S. government at the time, and it was a big failure because it never really materialized, nor didn't end the war quickly, and the Viet Cong was able to maneuver and outpace faster and be smart as per their tactics, roughly until U.S. withdrawal in 1973, before the war officially ended in 1975.
Pirates were way more horrifying than what you learned, and were the worst group to run into. But why?
That's true. And let me put it in the most simplistic way as possible to convey for everybody. Pirates were like the mob of the old days, pre-20th century. Hence, they were really, really, really insane. Yep. Pirates didn't really care of what you did, how you are, or what you are. All they care about was whatever valuables you had, or let alone money. But if you impede or get into their way, unfortunately, you will literally pay the price in that regard. But yeah, pirates were the real insane OG criminals back in the day.
Could we be seeing the beginning of an Arab NATO? Following Israel's attack on Qatar, Arab leaders quickly...
I mean, it's not the first time they did it. The last time they actually did it was during the beginning of the Cold War, and the only country at the time that spearheaded all of it was Egypt, with then President Nasser, who was a Arab nationalist and believed in Arab socialism. And most of all, during those days, they were really involved with preventing a lot of wars in the Middle East. Specifically, they had this ire against the U.S. and U.S. protectorate in the region. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know that specific word I am forbidden to say. But you know, that was in the Cold War. Now this time it's different, and it's a multipolar world now. So this isn't the first rodeo that they're doing with that as a collective league You know,